Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, should the Flyers set the hook or go with the fifth? Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers, and holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, how about episode number 78? Wow! Oh my gosh, man, 78! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Anyway, so how about that, folks? Episode number 78 for the Hockey Writers Inc. Should the Flyers set the hook or go with the fifth? And Lance, my sir, how are you doing? How are things going? Man, a great article this week. Oh my gosh, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. Just, enjoying watching some playoff hockey in as much as I can get in, and, watching the Worlds as well. That's always interesting. A lot of players are playing a lot more physical and everything this time around for their home countries rather than some of the teams that they're currently on in the NHL. That's interesting. So
go figure.
Right.
We're not going to mention any names or anything. It's kind of funny though that now that some teams now are starting to drop off of the playoffs. Right now, they're starting to enter into their home country teams now, just in time to, for finals and semifinals and everything else. It's like, oh, that works out quite perfectly.
Stack the deck right at the end.
Yeah, about that. All right. Well, Lance, sir, man, I'll tell you what, you put out another great article this week, and I think this is a perfect name for the show based off of the article, based off of what we've been talking about, based off of even the last show where we talked about, what can the Flyers do with the fifth round pick, who they could select or who they should stay away from, right? And so now with this article, you talk about maybe should the Flyers stay away from teams offering certain things, or should they take the bait? Maybe I think is more what I think you're leaning towards on this article, because you not only say, well, if they trade with another team, they can potentially get a certain list of players. Right. So that's what we're going to get into here based off of your article. So.
Yeah, for sure. This article, just want to give it a little thought process behind it. Basically, I think that the Flyers are not in a position where they should just close down all lines of communication and just focus on that number 5 overall pick. There's a lot of options to be had out there. You never know what's going to come your way come draft day. Chuck Fletcher has already kind of said that, he's wanting to possibly move some players to gain some other draft picks. So I don't know if he could be swayed to do that, then he might be able to be swayed to move back just a couple of spots in order to gain a couple of more draft picks. We all know that the Flyers don't have their second round draft pick and won't be drafting after number 5 to I think 68, 69, something like that in the third round overall. So definitely a long way to wait after number 5 there, and especially when the team is hurting as bad as it is right now. You need every person you can to possibly develop into be something. So, putting all your weight in that one pick at number 5, you might be able to get a 2-for-1 special or, 2 or 3-for-1 special if you move back just a couple of spots. So this is what the focus is on that, and try to bring some light to some different scenarios that could possibly happen if the right teams come calling, but more or less just to get the fans out there thinking. Everybody's focusing on just this one pick, this one move, but there's a whole lot of other draft selections and other players in this draft that are, I think, pretty good that could be,
exactly
a help to this team moving forward.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too that you've covered in numerous articles, we've covered on numerous shows. This is clearly not the draft year to be selecting that generational player. There's not generational player talent level in this draft. There are serviceable NHL players in this draft. There's going to be some potential, maybe an all-star here or there, maybe. I mean, you never know, right? There could potentially be an all-star here or there, but I think you're just basically looking at starters.
Well, I mean, I'm sure somebody will surprise us and come out and develop into be, a pretty nice piece for sure that can help the team out. But I don't know.
We interviewed one a couple weeks ago.
So there's some nice pieces in this draft that are going to be definitely serviceable NHL players, potential 20, possibly once or twice in their career, 30 goal scorers for sure. Do I think, there, as we always talk about, that face of the franchise banner, hanging off the side of the building, guys? It's definitely too early to tell. I don't think so. There was a couple out there that could possibly be, but a lot of the guys with a lot of talent are very small, and you have to see how they adapt as the players get bigger, stronger, and faster. So, maybe in time they'll prove us all wrong here.
Exactly. That's the other thing too about the difference between the NHL draft is that, you're drafting kids who are fresh out of high school or that are going to be going into college that are, 17, 18 years old. They're still not even all the way fully developed. They're still not even all the way fully grown. You know what I mean? Some of them aren't even shaven yet. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I like the premise of this article, and I like the fact that when you start to dive into a lot of the potential in this draft, and you start to dive into a lot of what the Flyers potentially could do with some of the fodder, if you will, lack of a better word. We all know the JVR contract has to go. We all know that sadly this probably won't happen, but a Hayes type contract has to go. Okay, it has to, because it's blocking and it's preventing and it's costing the Flyers a lot more than just a spot. You know what I mean? It's if you can't get productivity for that level of money, then that has to go away.
Well, I don't know if anybody's going to be buying those contracts. Let's be honest here.
I know
that you're going to have to sell a song and to them and a dance and all that, but it's probably going to end up like Shane Gostisbehere, where you're going to have to give up a pick as well to entice them to be able to take on that to take on that player. But in true Flyers fashion, they'll probably go on and move on and be great players elsewhere after we get rid of them. So. But we touched on all those reasons why many shows now. So
all right. So
I think you're more likely to see possibly even Provorov or Konechny leaving with some meat on the bone there. Somebody that's promising young player still, and not somebody. That's not promising. But I don't know. So
I was hoping I could slide that in there. See if we can maybe Sundin. Or Sanheim, I'm sorry. Sanheim. Can we slide that in there too? Can he go away? Anyway.
Nothing, yeah.
There's such a laundry list of players that the Philadelphia Flyers need. And I think they're beyond that point of, we're just going to pick the best athlete or the best, no. See, I think you guys have to be a little bit more surgical in this draft, right? Because look, let's face it. This is going to be Fletcher's last draft. The fact that he's going to get another one is blowing the doors off of me, by the way, just to let you know. The fact that he's getting another one, the fact that here we are now, it's almost the end of May, and we still don't even have a coach. What have you been doing now since December?
I don't know. I don't know.
But we know what you've been doing very recently,
yeah.
just as of the last couple of days, released this article.
Mm-hmm.
Our Guardian of the Blue Paint drops another one on us unsuspecting readers. Well, should Philadelphia take the bait, or if teams come calling for the 5th overall pick? Lance, this is make or break, man, for upper management. They need to make this one. They need to knock this one out of the park, buddy. So we got the premise of this article. Let's dive in. The first part of this article, you talk about trading back or trading the 5th pick or allowing the Flyers to take the bait, and what are going to be some of the teams that can offer the Flyers something. What's the first team? What's the first offer? What
Sure.
do you got here?
So, this is all speculation and wishful thinking. But
that's a good way to put that.
Yeah.
Speculation and wishful thinking. All right.
Right.
Hit me with it.
So let's take a look at the first team I talked about is the Ottawa Senators. Mm-hmm. They're rebuilding, but they have some promising young youth in their system. Now, they possess the 7th overall pick this year, but along with that, they also have the 39th overall pick in the second round and the 57th overall pick in the second round, along with the 71st and 87th in the third round. So a lot of picks early in this draft, in the first 3 rounds. So they have the means, if they so choose, to move up if they see a player that they're simply salivating for at the 5th spot and they want to call the Flyers and offer up some those other picks. They could potentially woo the Flyers away from number 5.
Okay, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Philadelphia dropping back from the 5th round pick.
5th overall, yeah,
5th overall pick to still stay in the first
top 10. Still stay in the top 10, yeah.
Have to stay in the top 10, but I would not have a problem with them dropping back to 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Even 11. I would even go back as far as 11. And as long as they could get a 2nd round pick, an early 2nd round pick, right? That would be the only condition that I would have to put on that. And so that's exactly what you touch on with this article.
Multiple teams, yeah.
So Ottawa was the first team, right? So we do the trade with Ottawa, right? And we move back to the 7th round.
7th overall.
7th overall pick, and we select.
I think a fast riser in Cutter Gauthier. Yeah, and I've written about him before and said that he might be there, and he's a guy that was overlooked on a very stacked USA team, but he finished the season as one of their leading goal scorers. And he'll be there possibly at 7. He's 6'3", 194 pounds.
Wait. Say that first part again.
He's 6'3", 194 pounds already. All right. He's a winger who plays the 200-foot game, can dominate around the boards and in front of the net. And he uses his strength and speed to be able to deke right through like he's a more nimble player. And I compare him a lot to a player that I wrote about last year, Tyler Boucher. Boucher. He's very big, very physical, has a nice shot. He can get the job done for sure.
Has good vision, sees the ice real well.
Yep, all the things. And he was just kind of overlooked because so many players on that great USA teams every year. Yeah. But I believe he's finally getting his recognition, and he's finally being talked about more as the draft comes up. And he almost led the team in goals this year, and he's due to go to Boston College, which we know has been pretty good to the Flyers recently. With some prospects in the past. So, I could see him winning a national championship
up there in Boston.
But I could see him winning a national championship there before coming to Philly even, but I'd be okay with that
yeah.
if he spent a year or so in college and came here. Do I think he's talented enough to possibly start next season for the Flyers? I do, but is he going to hinder that? I mean, he's got the NHL size. He's got an NHL shot already. Could he come up if he could be swooed away from Boston College? He probably could at this point. And on top of that, on top of getting a great player like he is while moving back, I think that the Flyers could possibly get one of their second round picks. The Ottawa second round picks to be able for Ottawa to move up, package that in, and I like Nathan Gaucher.
Nathan Gaucher. He was going to be next on my list to talk about.
Yeah. So I really like
second round for him for the second round
pick, for a second
so
round
see
pick.
that's the whole premise of this, is to try to trade back and include that second round pick. Right, so that's really what the Flyers want, is that second round pick.
You don't have one, and like I said before, you're going to be waiting till the third round to select again. And I think the Flyers are in a position they need as many good young prospects in their system as they can get at this point.
That would be putting it mildly. Look, it's not that Philadelphia has not necessarily been a bad drafting team.
They just can't develop them.
It's right. Once they get to the Flyers, it's like
or the Phantoms,
whatever, right? Once they get into the system, then it's like they disappear from who they were before they got there, and then that's why we get all these lists of players that's as long as our arm of people that have left the Philadelphia Flyers and have gone on to win the Cup and have great careers, because they're used the way they should be. They play their natural position. They, whatever that they couldn't figure out in Philadelphia. Well, It's not that they couldn't figure it out. It's, well, hey, you're a right-hand shot, you're a left-hand shot defenseman. Can you play the right?
Right.
Wait a minute. No. You're a right-hand shot. What are you doing now? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. The next suggestion, speculation, wishful thinking on your article is a potential another trade with a couple more picks back from the 7th pick from the Senators, and that would be
who I said before. We still talking about the Senators? Yeah, Nathan Gaucher.
Yeah.
I like him. He's another guy, hardworking guy, plays for the Quebec Ramparts of the QMJHL. 6'3", 207 pounds. All right.
Read that part again.
207 pounds and 6'3".
That's two players now that you read that. I mean, when you read their byline, 6'4", 6'3", 197 pounds, 204 pounds. Like, all right, continue on, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure. And both these guys can skate too. They're not dinosaurs out there, or they're not skating
like this.
They're not skating like JVR out there with cement blocks on their feet. All right. This season, Nathan scored 31 goals, 26 assists for 57 points, and he maintained a +30 average.
And he's only played 26 or 27 games or something like that, or
I'm not sure. I would have to look that back up.
I think that's what I saw was only 26 or 27 games that he played in.
So yeah, I mean, definitely he doesn't take a shift off. Patrick Waugh is his coach up there.
Yeah.
He rewards him for his play for sure by sticking him out there in any and all situations because he trusts them that much.
Yeah, big minutes. He was getting big minutes. He's getting over 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 20. For some reason, 26 is sticking into my head as far as the number of games that they played, as from what I read on that. So either way, either one of those players, Cutter or Nathan, I would take either one.
But the best thing about it is you'll get both. Possibly if you were willing to move back just a couple of spots, just 2 spots, and you gain 2 great players instead of just 1.
See, I'm down with that. I'm all for, hey, move down a couple spots and get that latter first round pick, but then you get that second round pick. Right. So what's the next team that you have selected on your list?
Right. So the next team that could possibly have the draft stock to be able to pull this kind of deal off is the Buffalo Sabres. And right this season, their first selection is 9th overall. And, I think they have also 2 additional first. All right. They have
one of them is from us.
Yeah. They have the 16th and the 32nd. All right.
Didn't they
That was last year.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yep. So they have the 9th, the 16th, and the 32nd.
Jeez.
And they also have the 41st in the second round. So,
oh my gosh,
any of those picks, they got a lot of early picks there. And, I don't think we could get the 9th and the 16th, but I think you could try to do the 9th and the 32nd. It's pretty much a second round pick at this point. And I think the Sabres owe us at this point. I mean, we took Ristolainen from them and, gave them a great pick in the first round. And,
that's true.
I don't know, but, I think you could get a quality player.
I don't think Buffalo's going to look at it like that, but yeah, we owe the Flyers. We should trade for them. Yeah, no. But no, I'm with you on that, and I like this idea here with trading the 9th pick with Buffalo to potentially get 2 really good players.
Right.
You know what I mean? The first one is, oh my gosh, I'm going to try and say it. Jonathan Lekkerimäki?
Sure, we'll go with it.
Yeah, Lekkerimäki. Oh my gosh. Lekkerimäki. Oh man.
All right.
Jonathan.
Yeah. So I really like this kid. I think he's really underrated, even though he's due to be selected or projected to be selected in the top 10. He's 5'11", 176 pounds. He's a winger. He's Swedish, and he's a sharpshooter, man. This kid can simply just bring it. As far as sniping the puck there.
Well, you better be bringing it.
Yeah. And, he played in their top junior level in the J20 league, if you know what that is. And he scored 20 goals, 15 assists for 35 points in 26 games played. So there's your 26 games played, I think.
Games.
I think Nathan played a lot more. Okay. But and that's why he's a second round pick versus a first. But he did play in the SHL this year. He didn't really produce a lot of points once up there, but the SHL isn't about promoting or playing their young players to succeed, really. If you think of that way, they'll commonly just place them on the 4th line and be okay with it. As where, teams like in the NHL tend to try to not set them up to fail, young players. So there's that. But where John really came into his own this year was at the World Junior Championships. He scored 2.5 points per game while there for Sweden, scoring 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points in 6 games played. That's pretty good.
That's lighting it up.
That's pretty good right there. And, I think he could be there at number 9. And, Buffalo still is always in a perpetual rebuild. And I think they have the stock to be able to move up if they so desire, to see if they have one guy in mind that they really like at number 5. And I think the Flyers should do the deal if that was it.
Okay, so Gauthier and Gaucher and Lekkerimäki and even Seamus Casey, the other player that we're talking about here for this deal. These guys are all they're not necessarily jumping off the page as first round draft picks, these guys.
Maybe
No, but
that's
you know
you.
what I mean, though.
But
Like
yeah,
they're not household names. They're not being talked about.
they're not. They're not. They're. So many people focus on the top 5 players in the draft and don't
Yeah,
really do a whole lot of research past that.
that's what I mean.
You know, I really think that Jonathan is going to be a great player, but I also think Seamus Casey is as well. He was on that loaded Team USA as always, and I think the Flyers, if they did the deal and got that 32nd pick, this is a guy I would look at. He's a right-hand shot defenseman. And in my mind, he's got some of the best hands in the league or in this draft for
In the
sure.
draft, yeah.
And that's not just saying defenseman. That's over everybody in the draft. The kid can simply move the puck really well. I've been watching him all season long. He's excellent. I mean, for Flyer fans, I would say think Shane Gostisbehere if he could play defense.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like like because Gostisbehere put up like 60-some points this season.
Yeah, but he was still one of the last place teams in the league because he was a negative player.
Okay, but like I said, he still
score.
Put up 60 points. So, gosh, if you could put up 60 points and be a plus player and not, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's definitely, a great kid. Casey is, and he just coming out of, I think, Florida as well.
Yeah.
I think he was from Miami area or something like that. So that's interesting. I love seeing non-traditional areas produce, NHL players.
Shane Gostisbehere.
Yeah, right. That's even more of a connection there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, great deal there. If the Flyers could pull that kind of deal off and get a 2-for-1 special, you know what I mean? Like,
gosh,
there's some players to be had, in this first round or in the second round. I do believe, that would make good pros.
I see. That's what I was trying to talk about there at the very opening of the show, is that this draft is not deep in generational talent. You know, you're not getting a whole bag full of all-stars here. This isn't the 04 draft. This isn't the, you know what I mean? You're not getting that in this draft. That's just not happening. You're just going to get some serviceable guys who are going to be starters in the league. You know what I mean? They're not going to be the flashy guys. They're not going to be, but they're going to be the guys you need, right? Because you need starters. You need those guys that play at that level, that can put 20, 30 goals in a season, can do, 40, 50, 60 points a season, you know what I mean, and be a plus player. You need those kind of guys on the team. You need those Michael Raffles.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to be, I think they're going to be better than Michael Raffle for sure.
No, but I'm just saying,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think that, what we're trying to talk more about is guys that are going to be 20, 30 goal scorers rather than 50 goal scorers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're going to be second or third line guys that are point producers, but, not elite level talent that you build a franchise around.
Yeah, see that I think that's just it. These aren't the guys that you build a franchise around. These are the guys you build a franchise with, and that's a big, major difference, because the McDavids, those are the guys that you build the franchises around, and you build that. The kind of guys that you build around them are these types of players that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So, all right. So that would be great if we could handle Buffalo. That would be cool. If Buffalo isn't the one that's come calling, let's say maybe the Ducks.
Well, the Ducks have the 10th overall selection in this year's draft. They also have the 23rd, the 42nd, and the 53rd overall pick in the second round. So
that's a lot of second rounds.
Right. 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And, the Ducks, in my mind, are possibly one of the teams that would have the stones to move up and should, because their scouting their scouting department is hands down one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about Mason McTavish,
McTavish
Zigrath,
is the other bloodline.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was
right,
the other name. I told you it started with an M.
yeah. Drysdale, Sam Steele, Max Jones, all those guys. And other guys was Sam Colangelo, Sasha Pastrovo,
Yeah.
Sean Shigell, which I wrote about last season,
Yep.
and Lucas Dassal. These are all amazing, amazing talents that are either already up on the Ducks roster currently or in the system about ready to explode. And,
Right.
Pat Verbeek is their new GM there. And,
Wow.
if he hears a knock at his door and it's the scouting department telling him to move up in the draft and select a player, I think he should do it because their scouting department, along with maybe the LA Kings, I just if you want to keep your job, you should probably listen to him.
Yeah, and I think the people up there in Colorado are doing a pretty good job at scouting and drafting as well too.
I think so too. They've been able to select high picks or early picks very well, but
Late picks as well too.
Joe Sakic though is pretty much dealt away all their picks at this point, trying to
at this point now, yeah. I mean, he doesn't have much left anymore now.
Right,
But
right.
But
I mean, in all regards, like he's built that team over the years, and he's at that pinnacle now where he's pushing to win a Stanley Cup instead of rebuilding. So,
exactly.
Kudos to him for pushing all his chips in and going after it. So,
and boy, Colorado is sure showing the results of his
fruits of his labor. Yeah,
exactly. So, all right. So, and if the Ducks do come a knocking with the 10th overall pick, there is a plethora of players that you have selected here, and you have spoken very highly of a group of these players. Okay, and talk to me about what we can do here with this Ducks deal at the 10th spot, and or potentially moving back to come grab some of those second round picks too. So talk to me about that.
So the first guy, if they get the 10th overall pick, I would say sneak in and grab the Russian, Yurov. Yep. He looks to be pretty darn good. I really liked Ivan Mirashenko. He was a player I wrote about. I think he could possibly be that generational talent, if anybody, out of this year's draft. But he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and teams are gonna sit on him because they don't know the outcome of all that. And it's a shame because he is an amazing talent. But Yurov took the bait this year as being the top Russian in this year's draft in a lot of people's mind, and I think he'll slide back to the 10th spot given all the stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia and the uncertainty there. But he's a right winger who stands at 6'1", 179 pounds currently. He's a strong skater. He played in the MHL, which is kind of their lower league there for their juniors players, and everybody trying to make their way up to the KHL. And he posted 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points in 23 games. That's a 1.56 point per game average.
That's pretty snazzy.
That's pretty good. Bigger ice surface over there.
Yeah. They play on the European ice surface. Yeah.
Some good defensive teams over there. He's a plus 22 as well.
Wow. Wow.
I like him, but he's probably not my favorite player in that top 10, but I think a lot of other players are going to be, like mentioned before, going to be taken already by the time you reach that 10th pick. So they better go out and be able to grab somebody else if they drop down 5 spots to do so. And another guy that is one of my favorite players in this year's draft, and I do think he will make an excellent NHL player, is Jágr Firkus.
Yes.
Really, really high on this kid right now. And I think if the Flyers were to get that 23rd pick away from him, even if they had to get something else going back along with that 5th overall pick, I think it'd be worth it in order to be able to select this kid at that point. An amazing sniper. Furcus netted 36 goals, 44 assists for 80 points in 66 games played this year in the WHL. That's a 1.21 point per game average. He was a plus 15.
Ooh, okay.
And fun fact here, 36 goals he's had, right? Well, potential top 5 player in Matthew Savoy only had 35.
Right.
All right. And this kid was a 2nd round pick, kind of guy, but he's since probably moved up with finishing with those kind of numbers, moved up into that first round, late first round category there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But amazing shot. If you get a chance, guys, watch this guy's tapes a little bit. He's got the shot the Flyers need for sure.
Yeah, buddy. He sounds like he's the type of player that Philadelphia really should be selecting. They should really be focusing in on and not just going for the 5th round pick or 5th overall pick. You know what I mean? I really think they should do their due diligence and pick the right player.
Well, I mean, yeah, they at this point with that kind of talent later on in the first round, it may be worth. That's the whole article's premise here, guys.
I know.
Don't write everybody off here. Let's look and see what else we could acquire to go along with a potential top 10 pick here.
No, I'm with you on that. You on that. So what would be another potential player that we could get if we moved and make the deal with the Ducks?
So if we didn't get 23, we weren't lucky enough to talk Anaheim into giving up the 23rd pick. We could potentially try to wrangle the 42nd overall pick, the 2nd round pick that they have, and select Rieger Lawrence. I really like him as well. He's playing out of the Alberta Junior Hockey League. And it's really underrated league right now. It's an upcoming league in my mind, and there'll definitely be more players that I would suggest in the near future from that league that the Flyers should look at. But he stands at 6'2", 185 pounds. Big winger again, but can move at the same time. He scored 38 goals, 47 assists for 85 points this year in the AJHL, and he's set to attend the University of Denver. So we all know what Denver did for Bobby Brink and his development. So that would be good of him to get that tutelage from their very talented young coach in David Carl. So I really like this kid. I think he's an up and coming guy. I think a lot of people slept on him because of the league he played in this year. But I think he's going to show his worth next season for, the Pioneers for sure.
I really like, of the 3 players, I'd have to say that Furcus and Lorenz are probably the ones that were probably my favorite of the ones that we could look. I don't have a problem with any of them. You know what I mean? I would really, if we could get Cutter or Nathan, that would be great. But I would settle for any of these other guys as well, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I mean by settle, because, look, let's face it, Philadelphia still needs to make the deal or get the deal done to move back or to whatever the case is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
it's all hypothetical.
It is. But you know what, though? Fans need to understand that there are so many different things that the Flyers could be doing here. And if they truly want to be doing their due diligence, then they would be looking at these types of scenarios. And they would potentially be calling the Ducks or Buffalo or, the Senators and be like, hey, we'll trade your 5th for your 7th and a 2nd. I mean, why wait to get the call?
Right.
Why not go out and try to make the deal?
Well, that's the thing here. The Flyers have to get creative. Yes, I know in the past, however many seasons, not a whole lot of 5th overall picks are getting traded, but let's be honest here, the Flyers are more than one player away. Even if they hit a home run and selected that player out of this draft, that's not enough to push them over the edge here.
Not even close.
They need all the picks and help that they can get. And a way to do that is to be able to fall back in this year's draft and get some other assets, some valuable assets. Because
I love it. I love that idea.
Let's look at this. I mean, Chuck Fletcher isn't exactly hitting, it out of the park with his first round selections.
His best round of draft has been what? The 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds.
Right.
Those have been his best rounds.
He's able to find. Brent Flair and him are able to find good prospects in the later rounds, but even those players have yet to really come to fruition. In the Flyers roster, they're tearing it up in juniors still, but let's see what they do. In the next year or two when they actually make the NHL or professional ranks. With the American Hockey League.
This is something that I wanted to touch on. And I think what needs to happen is the Flyers need to change their culture. And what I mean by changing their culture, I mean they need to change how they develop their players, because they're obviously clearly not. They need to change the entire development staff. They need to look. I made reference to this in the show I did on the SteelFlyers podcast, where Philadelphia has got their AHL team is in Lehigh. Their ECHL team is in Reading, right? So all of their minor league teams are all within
a couple
40
hours
miles.
Yeah,
40 miles, let's say, ish, maybe, give or take, 10 miles. Who cares? A bus ride? Less than an hour drive? No matter if you're going from one to the other? Right? Why do you still have all of your junior guys still out playing in their junior team? Why don't you have them in here playing for your teams? See, that's what I think. That's why I think the culture needs to change here in Philadelphia. They need to change that way of thinking. They need to change the way they're developing the players. They need to actually develop the players. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. They're not developing their players. They're relying on the college ranks to develop their players.
Yeah.
We saw that with Joel Farabee, with Cameron York. They keep them there. And Bobby Brink and all these players, Noah Cates, the list goes on, that they're waiting for them longer to develop there to be able to just jump to the NHL ranks, as opposed to developing their own talent and signing them and bringing them to Lehigh and, working on them and working on your own systems with them and everything else, because it hasn't worked recently. Anybody who stays there, Morgan Frost, the Radcliffes, the Foresters, they come there with a lot of up and coming, vigor and everything and ready to go, and then something goes wrong and they just continue downward spiral.
Yeah, I use the Couturier model as a perfect example of, here was a kid who scored 90-some upper 90s in his junior league, right? And they bring him into the Flyers, and now he wins a Selke Award for being the best offenseman. When he was playing juniors, he wasn't playing defense. That's not what he was about. He was about scoring goals, right? Now, could you imagine if they would have never have tainted him, where he would be right now? I mean, but that just goes to show you to me, in my opinion, the level of incompetence within the Flyers organization. You know, that you can't develop these players. Why is it that there is a list as long as you could build another team with of players that have left the Flyers, that have gone on to be successful NHL players that have either won the cup or been to the finals or whatever the case is?
I think there's like 16 players at the start of this playoffs that were on playoff contending teams that used to be Flyers this season.
Just this year. That was just this year.
Yeah.
I mean, what I that's what I don't understand.
That's just who's playing still in the NHL. Not to mention all of the guys that, you know, before them that went on and won cups elsewhere and everything else. So,
you know, so speaking of changing the culture, I think this is a pretty good segue into I took a deep breath because I'm about to say this. Philadelphia Flyers interviewed John Tortorella for the head coaching job. No comment.
Well, I think they're, like you said, they're doing their due diligence now.
Wait a
Tortorella.
Wait, hold on, Lance. Yep. It's May. We're almost in June now, right?
I get it.
You're doing your due diligence now.
Yes.
In the end of May.
Yep. I get it. But that's where we are. That's what, you know, handward been dealt. So Tortorella was interviewed. He didn't have a lot to say after the interview as far as the Flyers and all that. Not a whole lot of comment at all. So is that good?
Didn't leave with a deal either.
Didn't leave with a deal. Interesting in my mind. Was he just totally turned off by the organization, how they handled themselves, or just, I don't know what's on there? Are they simply going to interview multiple people before they make a decision? I don't know. But Tortorella, in my mind, has never been in a loss of words. So let's be honest. Most of them are very colorful words. So
when it comes to him,
when it comes to him. So for him to come out and say nothing, something's peculiar there. Either they told him to hush his face and, you know, they'll sign him in a week or two, or he's not very pleased with what he saw there. So who knows?
Well, based off of his comment, based off of what he said, is he appreciated the conversation that he had with Chuck Fletcher, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Is how he ended the comment. Okay. That to me does not smack of confidence of getting a deal done or being the next head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right.
That to me basically smacks of him and Chuck sitting down in the room or having a Zoom or however they conducted their interview, and Tortorella is going to be like, well, I need control of the team, and Chuck was going to be like, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. And then Tortorella probably said, yeah, well, thanks. It's been a nice slice, and we'll talk to you soon. I mean, I don't know. That's what his comments, Tortorella's comments, kind of lead me to believe that's kind of how the conversation went. It was probably short and sweet. Mm-hmm. You know, he probably asked for this, and this, and Fletcher either said yes or no to whatever he asked for, because look, he has a blank check. It's not like he wasn't going to be able to say, well, I can give you $10 million a year. So if you're still dangling $10 million a year to a coach and they're still like, yeah, I'm cool.
Let's maybe half that, like six.
But still, if you dangle $5 million, if you dangle $3 million a year, $2.5 million a year to a coach. I mean, look, Philadelphia's
I'd take the job for that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'd take the job for 10% of that. What are you talking about? Right? And at least my team would out hustle you, would out hit you. We might not score a lot. You know what I mean? But you're definitely gonna leave there feeling pain.
So that was one of the candidates that was interviewed.
Didn't leave with a deal.
Didn't leave with a deal, but there's another name that has surfaced very recently.
Yes, talk to me.
So the Flyers have been rumored as of late to be interested in Kurth Muller. Big time Montreal Canadian for a long time. Was a head coach at one time for Carolina for 3 seasons, and is currently a Calgary Flames assistant coach under, I think one of the better coaches in the league. I always love hearing his after the game interview.
I mean, it's like sitting there with your grandfather.
Yeah.
But he's still, but he always has something good to say, though. But yeah, I'm with you on that. And ever since he's taken over, Sutter's taken over from that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! And so, all right. So, what is it about Mueller that you think, if the Flyers are going to do their due diligence, should at least ring this guy up?
Well, I mean, I did have him in my article with the couple weeks ago now, suggesting as a outsider to possibly be the Flyers' next head coach. But I think he's pretty good at getting the point across to his team. He's well-liked coach from what I understand. And I don't know. I mean, he had a short stint in the NHL as a head coach. He's in my mind, I think he's like Tocchet. I think he's a great assistant coach. I don't know if he's quite at that level to take on that role as a head coach again. I don't know if I would offer him the deal. And but if the Flyers are willing to sit down with him, I'd be okay with it. If they're gonna take their time and span it out like they are apparently, they better talk to everybody and their mother about who the possibility of being the next Flyers head coach, to be able to make the right decision this time. Because like you said, it's probably going to be Chuck Fletcher's last choice of head coach for this team. If it doesn't work out, he's probably getting the boot too.
Well, all I can say is I wear size 11. That's all I can say. I like the Mueller. I think he would be a good selection. Look, my whole point is the fact that we're at the end of May and you're just now coming out to tell us that you're doing your due diligence about, you want to talk to every single person and you want to make sure you get the right coach for the Flyers. Well, what have you been doing since you fired AV? You didn't interview a single guy. You didn't talk to a single person. You brought in Mike Yeo to be the quote unquote interim coach, and then you had a press conference and said he's been relieved of his head coaching duties. And then, well, that's all you said. I mean, look, this team doesn't owe the analysts, the people that cover the team, the fan, they don't owe anybody anything, right? But if you want to continue to be a followed and historic organization, you better put some information out there that's going to start making sense. You know what I mean? The fact that since the end of the season, the best news that they've had is Mike Yeo has been relieved, Nick Seeler's been signed.
I think it would be Ivan Fedotov being signed. That
to me would be the best one.
And I'm interested in Adam Jennings, if I'm saying that right. The defenseman. He's a big boy. He's 6'4", left-hand shot defenseman. But again, why do we need another left-hand shot defenseman?
Well, but I mean, he's a taller one.
Yeah. Well,
He's a taller one.
He's pretty
that plays
physical.
Defense.
He's pretty physical too. So hopefully he'll help out the Phantoms this year.
Right. So I mean, that's the best news that we can say for the Philadelphia since they fired AV. Like, so you basically wasted the entire time that Mike Yeo was coach, right? Because you weren't even gonna remotely bring him back, right? You haven't necessarily fired him from the organization per se. You've just relieved him of his head coaching duties. Right. I have a feeling he's going to be the coach of the Phantoms next year.
Ugh.
I'm just telling you what I'm thinking.
Nothing would surprise me at this point, but
I still think Tockett's going to be announced as the coach.
Ugh.
Hey man, I'm with you on all those counts.
I get it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't get the sandbagging either. Keeping a coach that you know is not going to be your head coach next season around to drag out the season. If a guy like Connor McDavid or Alex Ovechkin or somebody like that, Draisaitl or somebody isn't available in the draft, and you knew that at the time that Shane Wright is a good player, but he's not elite talent like they are. I don't think he's projected to be that. I'm thinking he's going to be a Hischier or more along those terms. A serviceable NHL player. I think he might be a little bit better in Hischier.
He might be a tick better. Depends on if he can stay healthy, because that's what Hischier's issue's been. He hasn't been able to stay fully healthy. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
Would you rather see Peter DeBoer? I think he's out there. I think he'd be a guy I would be interested in. For Vegas, he had a .650 win percentage during the regular season.
So I would like that. To me, I think that's a better prospect than even Barry Trotz. Okay, yeah. I think Barry Trotz is going to go to Vegas. That's where I think he's going to. Because look,
I think he's more in tune to take on a team like Vegas that's already established, that is a playoff ready team already, and just tweak it a little bit and have success.
Exactly.
I think DeBoer could be a guy, and he has a history of coming into teams that need a lot of help. I mean, San Jose, the Devils, Florida. Beforehand,
look what he did in Vegas.
But I mean, took a brand new team in Vegas pretty much, and was able to have instant success in my mind.
Do you know what, Lance? That is a great point. The more I think about it, the more I realize he just might be potentially the best selection for coach for Philadelphia would be him. Because
I don't know why he hasn't been called, after he got relieved of Vegas anyway. If they're going to do their due diligence, as you said, and have a laundry list of coaching, possible coaches come in and interview, I think, before I interviewed Tortorella, before I interviewed Trotz, I think I would bring in DeBoer. And I mean, is he the flashiest name? No, he's not a hothead. He's not a guy that,
he probably won't even take the $5 million.
Yeah, I don't think he would require that. I don't think he is that level of, where he has to, duck down to fit his head through the door. I don't think he's that guy. And I think he, would be able to sit there for a year or two, be with the team that is given right now and get the most out of them until they are able to bring in the type of talent that is supposed to be, in the system coming up now, and who we could potentially be drafting, with a number 5 overall pick and all, yada, yada, yada. And develop a team that is at least competitive again. Yeah. Do I think Barry Trotz is going to do that? I don't know. He likes to play his veterans. John Tortorella, I know he's not your favorite guy. He's a coach that would be good for me, but I don't think he's a good coach for the kids of today's generation.
Yeah.
With so many feelings and everything else nowadays. And
yeah.
so I don't know if that's the right deal in that aspect, but I look. He was the coach of the Sharks when they were a pretty dominant team, winning 60 some percent of their games during that time. I mean, he's had success. So I think if anything, he would be a name that I would be looking to bring in for an interview. Yeah.
Yeah. From Vegas. I'm with you on that too.
Yeah.
That was one thing that we didn't even talk about because, well, obviously that wasn't a name that was available at any time until very recently. So,
feel free to make that call, Chuck. Feel free.
Yeah. Hello, Chuck. Hello. Gosh, man. I've run out of bricks. I have run out of bricks to drop on Chuck's head. I can't drop any more bricks. I'm going to have to start using cinder blocks.
Take them off JVR's feet.
Whatever. Okay, look, I'm running out of bricks. But listen, I want to say something, and we would like, at the Hockey Writers, Inc., a huge congratulations to a great friend of the show, Connor Kurth, from the Dubuque Fighting Saints, wins the David Tyler Jr. Player of the Year Award from the United States Hockey League. And this is for the most outstanding United States-born player in the juniors. And congratulations, Connor. Very well deserved. You get the Hockey Writers Inc. salute, my friend.
So, yeah, Kurth is a guy that we had on our show, and is a guy I wrote about in the past. I found pretty early on in the season. And, in 62 games this year, he scored 35 goals, 46 assists for 81 points.
Nice.
And was a plus 37. And currently in the postseason, he's played in 2 games and he has 2 goals.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
A goal a game in the playoffs. Not bad, right?
Not bad.
And potentially he's being looked at right now as a 5th or maybe with this, accolades and stuff now, he may jump up to the 4th round pick. And I think that would be a diamond in a rough type player to be able to get at that time.
For sure. I mean, he's slated to go to Minnesota next year to play up there in that great program. Yep. And so I'm expecting nothing but big things from Connor this year. What a great and talented, very well put together young man. I see good things coming from Connor. And I tell you what, as a Flyers fan, this is a kid you would want to have on your team.
Yeah, definitely a good head on his shoulders. Kudos to his parents there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Very squared away individual. So just a good, wholesome kid that is so deserving of this opportunity that he's about to get, and come June. So
for sure, and I hope it works out real well. It doesn't matter who's going to get him. They're going to get a really good player.
Yes,
for sure. So, Lance, any up and comings? Any new juicies on the slate?
I do. I'm finishing up editing an article now on some potential players that could be had, a trio of players that could be had very easily right now, that could put a lot of stock back in the cupboard for the Flyers prospects.
Oh, yeah, we like the sound of that. Restocking them shelves, because Mother Hubbard's cupboard is bare, to say the least. Well, man, I'll tell you what. That's awesome, dude. I can't wait because, look, I always love reading your articles. You know what I mean? And I always love to hear the Guardian of the Blue Paint spouting the truth, like always. It's not always easy. It's not always glamorous. You know what I mean? But it's the truth. And that's kind of where we're coming from here. We always try to do the truth. We're not about rumors. We're not about, unheard, unsolicited facts, things like that. That's not what we're about. So, well, man, I'll tell you what, we got to do the big Hockey Writers Inc. salute as well for Flyers Nitty Gritty, thank you guys very much for your support, man. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate all the help that you guys do and all the support. Big thanks to Jamie and Yarif. So really appreciate all that you guys do. So thank you very much to Flyers Nitty Gritty and their group. And I'll tell you what, man, this is another good show. What do you think, Lance?
I think so. I hope that you guys like it as well. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, all you have to do is go to any one of your podcasting listening platforms like Google or iHeart or Spotify or Amazon and type in Hockey Writers Inc. When you type in Hockey Writers Inc., then our little show comes up and you guys click on the show and you get to listen to it. And make sure you hit those little 5 stars and make sure you hit the good ratings and like and subscribe, because that helps the show out a lot as well too. So thank you all very much for that. Remember, we can find us on all of those platforms. All you have to do is type in Hockey Writers Inc. and we will come up and you'll be able to find us. And thanks to Spreaker for all of their great support and being the platform that SteelFlyers All Sports Network uses to put out all of their great podcasting shows like this one, Hockey Writers Inc. Lance, thanks, my friend. Really appreciate all the great stuff. Why don't you tell the folks where we can find you, where we can get you?
Sure. You can always find me on Twitter at LNGBASSIST. The number's 39. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Zach Ronaldo, who liked and retweeted my article out this week. Always loved him as a player in Philadelphia.
Yeah, man.
Despite the bad rap he got with the refs while he was here, but
well,
hard-nosed Philadelphia Flyer through and through, that's for sure. Appreciate that. You can also find my stuff on Bleacher Report and Flyers Nitty Gritty, SteelFlyers.com, all the good places to find the best information on your Philadelphia Flyers. So
for sure. Thank you all, folks, for watching the Hockey Writers Inc. We'll catch you all in the next episode. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the hockey.